Welcome to this lecture on the finalization and adoption of the Indian Constitution. In this session, we will discuss the final steps in drafting and approving the Constitution, the major debates in the Constituent Assembly, and the key compromises that shaped the document. We will also explore how democracy and secularism were incorporated, and how global influences played a role. Lastly, we will look at the historic events of November 26, 1949, and January 26, 1950, which marked India's transition into a sovereign democratic republic. Let's begin. The Indian Constitution was finalized through a detailed and thoughtful process. The drafting committee, led by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, played a crucial role in shaping the document. Between August 1947 and February 1948, the first draft was prepared, and over 7,600 amendments were suggested. Every part of the Constitution was debated thoroughly. During the second reading, from February 1948 to November 1949, key topics like fundamental rights, federalism and minority rights were discussed. The aim was to create a balanced framework that ensured justice and stability. After months of discussion, the Constituent Assembly unanimously adopted the final draft on November 26, 1949. This day is now celebrated as Constitution Day in India. However, the Constitution was not enforced immediately. It was officially implemented on January 26, 1950. A date chosen to honor the Purna Swaraj Resolution of 1930, which had first declared India's demand for complete independence. On this historic day, Dr. Rajendra Prasad became India's first president, and India was officially declared a republic. This marked the beginning of a new era in India's governance. The Constituent Assembly had many intense debates to shape the constitution. One key debate was about choosing between a presidential or parliamentary system. Some members favored a presidential system like the United States, but the parliamentary system was chosen for better accountability. Another debate focused on federalism. Should India have a strong central government or grant more power to states? The final decision was a quasi-federal system, where power was divided, but the central government remained strong. There was also a debate on fundamental rights versus directive principles. While fundamental rights were made legally enforceable, Directive Principles of State Policy, DPSP, were included as guidelines for future governance. Other crucial debates included the question of secularism and religious freedom. Some members wanted India to have a state religion, while others insisted on religious neutrality. The final decision was secularism, meaning the government would treat all religions equally. Another important debate was about reservations for S, C by S, T by OBC. Some members wanted equal opportunities for all, while others demanded affirmative action for historically disadvantaged groups. The final decision included reservations in education and government jobs for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. The language debate was also significant. While Hindi was chosen as the official language, English was retained for official use to ensure smooth communication across different linguistic regions. To create a balanced and functional constitution, many key compromises were made. The first major compromise was between a strong center vs state autonomy. Some leaders wanted more power for states, while others argued for a strong central authority. The final decision led to a quasi-federal structure, where states had some autonomy, but the center retained control over important matters. Another major compromise was on secularism versus religious provisions. While India was declared a secular state, provisions were included to protect religious minorities and allow freedom of worship. There was also a compromise between the parliamentary and presidential system. Instead of giving full executive power to the president, India opted for a parliamentary system, where the prime minister and elected representatives hold governance power, while the president serves as a ceremonial head. More compromises were made to address social and political concerns. The first was regarding reservations for S, C by S, T by OBC. Some leaders wanted permanent reservations, while others opposed the idea completely. The compromise resulted in temporary reservations, subject to periodic review. Another compromise was on language policy. While Hindi was made the official language, English was retained for official and legal communication. This helped accommodate India's linguistic diversity. Lastly, there was a compromise on emergency provisions. Some members were worried about giving the central government too much power during emergencies, but others argued it was necessary for national stability. The final decision allowed emergency provisions under strict conditions, with parliamentary oversight to prevent misuse. These compromises ensured that the constitution was widely accepted and served as a strong foundation for a united and democratic India. The Indian Constitution ensures both democracy and secularism as fundamental principles. Democracy is maintained through a parliamentary system, where the government is elected by the people. Every citizen gets the right to vote under universal adult suffrage, ensuring equal political participation. To maintain balance, powers are divided among the executive, legislature, and judiciary, preventing any single branch from dominating governance. Secularism in India means the state has no official religion and treats all religions equally. The right to religious freedom, outlined in Articles 25 to 28, ensures that people can practice and propagate their faith without discrimination. The Constitution also protects minority rights under Articles 29 and 30, safeguarding their cultural and educational institutions. This ensures that India remains inclusive and respectful of its diverse population. The Indian Constitution was shaped by the best features of various global constitutions. From the United Kingdom, India adopted parliamentary democracy and the rule of law, ensuring governance through elected representatives. The United States influenced India's fundamental rights and the principle of judicial review, which allows courts to ensure laws comply with the Constitution. Ireland inspired the Directive Principles of State Policy, DPSP, which provide guidelines for social and economic development. Canada contributed to India's federalism model, where power is shared between the centre and states, with the centre retaining more authority. Other major influences include Germany, which inspired emergency provisions, giving the government special powers during crises. France contributed ideas of republicanism, liberty, equality, and fraternity, which were included in the preamble. Australia provided the concept of a concurrent list, allowing both the centre and states to legislate on shared subjects, along with the principle of freedom of trade and commerce. From South Africa, India borrowed the process for constitutional amendments, ensuring that the constitution remains adaptable to changing times. These influences helped India create a strong, flexible, and democratic system of governance. The Indian Constitution is a detailed and structured document, ensuring clarity in governance. It begins with the preamble, which declares India to be sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic, ensuring justice, liberty and equality for all. Part 1 defines the Union and its territories, outlining the structure of states and Union territories. Part 2 lays down the rules for citizenship, explaining who is legally recognized as an Indian citizen. Part 3 establishes fundamental rights, which protect citizens from discrimination and guarantee personal freedoms. Continuing with the structure, Part 4 introduces the Directive Principles of State Policy, which serve as guidelines for achieving social and economic justice. Part 5 explains the Union government, detailing the roles of the President, Parliament, and Judiciary. Part 6 describes the state governments, including the responsibilities of governors and state legislatures. Lastly, Part 7 focuses on local governments, covering the Panchayati Raj system and municipalities, ensuring grassroots democracy. This structured approach ensures clarity, organization, and a clear division of responsibilities within the governance system. November 26, 1949, marks an important milestone in India's history, the final approval of the Constitution. After nearly 3 years of debates, the Constituent Assembly formally adopted the Constitution. On this day, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar delivered a powerful speech, highlighting the importance of the Constitution in shaping India's future. The members of the Assembly then signed the document, making it the official legal framework of the nation. Following its adoption, preparations began for January 26, 1950, the day the Constitution would come into effect. This day was chosen to honor the Purna Swaraj Resolution of 1930, symbolizing India's complete independence from British rule. With this, colonial-era laws officially ended, and India became a sovereign republic. Today, November 26, is celebrated as Constitution Day, recognizing the vision and dedication of the leaders who framed India's fundamental law. The Indian Constitution officially came into effect on January 26, 1950. This date was chosen to honor the Purna Swaraj Resolution of 1930, which declared complete independence from British rule. On this historic day, India became a sovereign republic, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad was sworn in as the first President of India, marking the beginning of a new democratic era. With the enforcement of the Constitution, national symbols such as the national anthem, emblem, and flag were officially adopted. This day also marked the beginning of Republic Day celebrations, which continue to be observed every year. The implementation of democracy and governance, as outlined in the Constitution, was now fully in place, ensuring a new era of self-rule, justice, and equality. The Indian Constitution remains highly relevant in today's governance and society. It protects fundamental rights, such as equality, freedom, and dignity for all citizens. It ensures a democratic system, where leaders are elected through free and fair elections. The Constitution also maintains a balance of power between the central and state governments, ensuring smooth administration. Additionally, it promotes social justice through reservations, welfare schemes, and laws for marginalized communities. Another key aspect of the Constitution is its ability to adapt to changing times through amendments. It also plays a crucial role in upholding judicial independence, allowing courts to safeguard citizens' rights. Furthermore, it ensures national integrity by promoting unity and preventing communal or regional conflicts. This makes the Indian Constitution a living document, continuously shaping and strengthening the country's democratic framework. Since its adoption, the Indian Constitution has evolved through various amendments to address the nation's changing needs. The First Amendment, 1951, introduced reservations in education and jobs to support underprivileged communities. The Seventh Amendment, 1956, reorganized states based on linguistic and administrative convenience. The 42nd Amendment, 1976, added the words socialist, secular, and integrity to the preamble, reinforcing India's commitment to equality and unity. Further amendments continued to shape governance and policies. The 86th Amendment, 2002, made education a fundamental right, ensuring free and compulsory education for children aged 6 to 14. The 101st Amendment, 2016, introduced the Goods and Services Tax (GST), streamlining India's tax system. With over 100 amendments, the Constitution remains flexible, relevant, and responsive to India's social, political, and economic needs. Now let's test your understanding with a question. When was the Indian Constitution adopted? A. August 15, 1947. B. January 26, 1950. C. November 26, 1949. D. December 9, 1946. The correct answer is C. November 26, 1949. This is the day when the Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution, and it is now celebrated as Constitution Day in India. Here's the next question. Take your best guess. Who was the chairman of the drafting committee of the Indian Constitution? A. Jawaharlal Nehru. B. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. C. Rajendra Prasad. D. Sardar Patel. The correct answer is B. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He played a key role in drafting the Constitution and is regarded as the father of the Indian Constitution. Now let's check your knowledge. When did the Indian Constitution come into effect? A. November 26, 1949. B. August 15, 1947. C. January 26, 1950. D. December 9, 1946. The correct answer is C. January 26, 1950. This date was chosen to honor the Purna Swaraj Resolution of 1930, and it is celebrated as Republic Day in India. Here comes another important question. Which was a major debate in the Constituent Assembly? A. Selection of national anthem. B. Parliamentary versus presidential system. C. Introduction of a monarchy. D. Abolition of elections. The correct answer is B. Parliamentary versus presidential system. The Assembly chose parliamentary democracy to ensure greater accountability of the government. Let's see if you get this one right. Which language was chosen as the official language of India? A. Sanskrit, B. Hindi, C. English, D. Urdu. The correct answer is B. Hindi. However, English was also retained for official purposes to accommodate India's linguistic diversity. Here's another key question for you. What was a major compromise made in the constitution drafting process? A. India was declared a theocratic state. B. Presidential system was chosen over parliamentary. C. Hindi was made the official language, but English was retained. D. The constitution did not grant fundamental rights. The correct answer is C. Hindi was made the official language, but English was retained. This ensured linguistic inclusivity, while promoting Hindi as the official language. Now let's test your understanding. What was the decision regarding fundamental rights and directive principles? A. Directive principles were given legal enforceability. B. Fundamental rights were removed. C. Fundamental rights became enforceable, while directive principles remained guidelines. D. Both were given equal status. The correct answer is C. Fundamental rights became enforceable, while directive principles remain guidelines. Fundamental rights protect individual freedoms, while directive principles guide state policies. Here's an interesting one. Give it a shot. What does secularism in the Indian Constitution mean? A. State has an official religion. B. Citizens have no right to religious freedom. C. State treats all religions equally and provides religious freedom. D. Government controls religious institutions. The correct answer is C. State treats all religions equally and provides religious freedom. India follows secularism, ensuring no preference for any religion. Let's check your knowledge of international influences. Which country's constitution influenced India's directive principles of state policy? A. United Kingdom. B. United States. C. Ireland. D. France. The correct answer is C. Ireland. Ireland's directive principles inspired India's policies on social justice and welfare. Last question. Try to answer this one. When is Constitution Day celebrated in India? A. August 15th. B. January 26th. C. November 26th. D. October 2nd. The correct answer is C. November 26th. This day marks the adoption of the Constitution and is now observed as Constitution Day in India. That's all for today's quiz. Great job. Keep learning and keep growing. Thank you for watching this session on the finalization and adoption of the Indian Constitution. We hope this lecture gave you a deeper understanding of how India's supreme law came into effect. If you found this video informative, please like, share and subscribe to our channel for more educational content. Stay tuned for the next lecture, and we'll see you in the next session.